So tonight we're going to do basic drills to lead up to Kumite practice. Kumite practice is not just going and punching and kicking someone else, but it's a partner drill. So, for example, if we're in the dojo and we're doing Kumite practice, my goal is not to tag him and then get a point, because it's not for competition. So we take that mindset away. It is a skill, it is a type of training that is very useful, and it doesn't look like a tournament where we're sitting here going at each other and throwing punches, but it looks more like a coordinated movement, even though we're doing this spontaneously. So that's the point we want to get to with the sparring, a methodical type of sparring where I'm learning through the sparring, not just seeing who can punch faster or who can land the punches. So there's no competition at all in the dojo when we do Kumite, when we do sparring. There should be no competition. We are working together. I'm trying to make him better and he's trying to make me better. And the last thing you want to do when you're in Kumite practice is throw a punch and think, oh, that was a good punch. You shouldn't be thinking anything. And he throws a punch and I shouldn't say, oh, I missed that punch, I should have blocked that. No, you don't think that either. No positive thoughts, no negative thoughts. Just clear your mind. And this is a partner drill. So these are the principles I want you to understand before we start Kumite. That Kumite is about a partner drill, not a tournament. It's not a competition. Got it? And the most important thing that we're doing is trying to clear our mind so that we can fight unconsciously. So that we can overcome that half-second delay that happens when we process things in our consciousness. And that's the only way, I am convinced, that the only way that you can intercept and defend against a sucker punch off the street that you're not seeing coming is if you do it unconsciously, because then you have that half-second advantage. When we get to the Kumite practice, the most important thing is to clear your mind. The most important thing is not to block the punch, not to throw the punch, not to throw the kick, not to do some fancy technique. The most important thing always is to clear your mind. We're going to do some drills to get to that point, and clearing your mind is very, very difficult. I will say that. If you can do it for 2 or 3 seconds, you've accomplished something. Okay, much less a minute, 2 minutes. No one can do that. That's almost impossible. You'd be enlightened if you could clear your mind for a minute, right? I mean, that's a long time to have no thoughts in your head. So that's the goal. We're going to start with basic drills. So the first one is just a low punch and a block. And he's going to alternate his punch, and I'm going to alternate my block just back and forth a few times. So here, this is very similar to the opening exercise where we're in this position and we're blocking, except now we're going to change sides. If you want to start, go slow and use one hand, right? And then you can work your way up to 2 hands. So the benefit of 2 hands is, well, 2 hands are better than 1, right? So this is where we should go. And then we'll switch, and then I'll punch him to do the same thing. Just like that. Okay, questions? Okay. The next one will be Suenaka-ha. We've done this one in class before. This one actually sets up the 2-hand a little bit better because, so now I'm here, block, my hand is still up. Right? I don't move it down and then bring it back up. I just leave it here when it comes in with the other punch. Boom. So we're going to try to start learning that our hands are in front, our hands are in position, and we move right from that position rather than, say, changing, drawing back, coming back to this position, and then coming up. No, this hand is still here the whole time, and it's right there. So it's quicker. So we start to get that sense that no matter what position I'm in, my hands are here, wherever he goes, I can make some kind of contact and still be in position to defend whatever comes at me here. See that? So when he punches, boom, I have one block up, but I'm also ready for whatever else comes, because I'm not defending a single punch as though he's going to stop. I'm putting my hands in position so that I can defend whatever comes at me. So this is the benefit of bringing the hand up here. Right? Okay. So now we'll do Jodan Uke here, and then I'm just going to switch from here to here. One of the things I want you guys to do is don't just stand in front of him like this, right? Because if he's strong and he's just going to come through, I can't depend on that. I need to get out of the way. So here, and part of the reason why we're doing this exercise is so that you can get used to moving from side to side. Okay? So, and this block is up and over this way. Punches the other way here. So it's not this one. It's this one. So he's coming, we're deflecting off like this, and then the punch comes in, I can catch here, bring it up just like this. This hand stays in a position. When he comes with the other strike, boom, here. When we're practicing, right, the kihon, we come from trigger point. That's so you can learn, but you need to be able to do high block from this position, right, or from this position. Understand? So if he's punching and I'm going all the way back to here, I'm losing some time. So we don't want to do this in the application. We want to bring the hand more like to this, so that when he punches the other hand, this is already here. Ooh, here. Right? So try not to do this like we do in the karate, because then you come here, you have to add, you have to go back there. Instead, I would do this here. See, even I'm sometimes pulling back into trigger. Here, just like that. Okay? What else? This will work overhand strike as well. Here, we talked about this the other day. So we'll just do the straight punch on this exercise. Okay, try. So this is a drill. It consists of a few different parts. So I'm going to explain the whole drill and then we'll practice it in parts. Okay? So it looks like this is a symbol.
Okay.
So when you're practicing it, it looks like this.
Sorry, my phrasing.
When you're practicing with someone who knows what he's doing. And it's just a drill. So we have a deflection, we have a control, we have a trap, a check, I guess, and then a punch. And he has the same thing. And we're just getting into this unconscious movement, this pattern of not having to think, our body just moves naturally. It's just a reflex. That's what we're doing. We're developing reflexes that we don't have to think about. And that's the most important thing. So I can talk to you guys and still do this because it's a natural thing. And I practice it enough. Right? So going on the same kind of thing we were talking about, making it a reflex so you don't have to think. That's all we're doing when we do drills. Constant repetition of these movements so that you can use them instead of having to stop and think about them or try to remember them, right? Because that's not going to do you any good. I teach this in 5 parts. Some people teach it in 4. It doesn't matter which one you do, but I think separating it into 5 helps you to keep it in better form. So step 1 is punch and block. Punch and block, and that's it. So from here, each part of the exercise can be separated into its own exercise, because from here, if I can block punch in here and set up here, that's a good practice, just back and forth practicing this movement, because as soon as the punch comes in, you want to respond. So that's 1. Second step, 1, 2. Some people will go right into this movement on 2, but I think it's a good practice to bring the hand straight up naturally so that your initial movement is this natural thing that we do also in Aikido, because this is also Ikkyo. Right? So we've all trained ourselves to respond while bringing our hands up. Right? All we got to do now is just change that a little bit, and that's 1, 2. Right? So punch, 1, 2. From here, same thing. I have stuff I can do from here. If I can deflect the punch here, I can do a lot of stuff. See? If I shift into him just slightly, he loses his balance. So those are some kind of things that you can do. Other side. Here, boom. That's 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. This hand is just going to sit here and kind of have a little bit of contact, which will give us a little bit of control. I'm not grabbing him, but never grab. It's always a relaxed contact, because if he moves, then I can follow him and I can know where he's going. If I grab him, though, he knows what I'm doing and he knows where my force is, so I don't want to do that. So 1, 2, 3, and it just sits here. What can you do from here? Take control, move in, striking, or you can clear that out of the way. Something like that. Okay? The next one, 1, 2, 3. All I'm going to do is replace this hand with this one and check. And that way, I know where this hand is. I can see that hand, and this hand's ready for the punch. If he punches at the same time, right, remember punches can be blocks. If I draw my hand back and give him that opening, then he's going to hit me. But if I'm going for a punch, or even if I have my hand up, I have a better chance of blocking here. And even if I don't get this punch off, I might get this one off, right? And if I don't get that one off, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I don't get this one off, I might get this one off, right? And if I don't get this one, I got this one. So it's always, you're trying to learn how to work yourself into the attacker to the point where he cannot defend you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm here, right? Once I get inside him, see, that was a feint. He can't defend that because it's inside him. He's trying to figure out a way.
No.
Right? But then here, the whole idea is to get inside so that there's nothing he can do. And this drill kind of helps us develop that skill. We'll do the other more advanced drill some other time, but we'll start with this one. Okay, so this is a very basic exercise for very basic karate students, and it's not as basic as it looks because when you start doing it, you'll see it gets a little frustrating. It's just Ippon Kumite, 1 point Kumite. And we're going to start very slow, just as a beginner would start in the first day of class doing Kumite for the first time. He's going to throw a punch, I'm not going to do anything. He's going to throw any technique he wants, and I'm not going to do anything. Of course, he's going to be controlled, and he's not going to hit me. So he throws a punch and stands. Okay, so then what do? I'm going to figure out what kind of block I want to do. I'm going to do that block, and I'm going to throw whatever technique, punch, kick, whatever you want to do. The problem with a kick is you got to stand there and balance the kick. So if you're going to kick, make sure you're ready to balance. I'm just going to punch because I don't want to balance. He doesn't move. He waits until I get the punch out, and then he decides what block he's going to do, and then he does it. Okay. Now, the beauty of what Sean Sensei just did is going to help me demonstrate why this is so useful. Because should he have done that block? No, he should not have. He went to the inside, and that was a bad move. If we're doing full speed Kumite and I'm trying to score a point on him and he's scoring a point on me, no one's thinking about that. No one's learning. But when you do slow Kumite like this, you have a chance to say he throws the punch. I have a chance to say, you know, I probably would have been better doing like this, and I can process this thing. And this is a lot of conscious activity and a lot of thinking and a lot of, you know, things that I told you not to do during Kumite, but that's what you do during the basic exercises, and you can think about what you're doing, and then that becomes reflex, and when you're doing the more advanced exercises, the actual Kumite, then it comes out naturally. So if you take the time to do this exercise, or once again, do this exercise where you can say, oh, I shouldn't block this way, this would be better, then when you're actually moving faster in the freestyle, then your brain will start to be trained that way. So this is why we're doing this. Like I said before, when we practice Kumite, it is not to see who can be better at Kumite. So, we're not here for the competition, we're here to learn, and this is a way that we can learn at a very basic level. So he throws a punch, any punch, I'm going to wait for it to come. Then I'm going to decide what I want to do. I'm going to do my block, and then I'm going to throw my technique, and then he's going to wait, and he's going to figure out what would be the best block. Good, and then he's going to punch. And then even, this is practice. So if you do this and you're like, oh no, let me do this. That's fine. You could do some take backs on this. That's okay. Fix your technique if you mess it up, if you have time. If it's too late, it's too late. Just like this. And go slow. Questions? What are your principles that you should be focusing on? I already demonstrated one of them, and that is going to the outside instead of going to the inside. Another one is using those different blocks. Punches low, punches middle, using those different blocks that we've been practicing. The other is making sure both hands are in the technique. If he's punching slow and he stops right here, then it's very easy for me to say, okay, I'm going to do this hand and then this hand, and have both hands involved in the technique. Got it? So these are the benefits of moving very slowly like this. Analyzing what you're doing, processing it, and trying to avoid mistakes and doing things the way that they should be done. And that this is the time to think. Because when the punch is coming at your face, you just have to move, and you don't have time. So it's a different kind of training. Okay, let's try. So just to review, the first step is punch, I don't move, then I block, then I punch, he doesn't move, and then he blocks. Gives us a chance to think about what we're doing. The second level is he punches, I anticipate. But I'm still just going to do one, and then I strike, he anticipates. Still just one. He strikes, I anticipate, and we kind of go this way. This does get a little carried away, as you can see. Sometimes it ends up being two strikes or two blocks or whatever. But the reason why this next level practice helps us to get to the Kumite is because often I find in Kumite, people will get to the point where all he does is block, right? So I'm punching and all he's doing is blocking, and at some point he's going to get hit. I see this a lot when people are learning Kumite and first practicing karate. They're maybe a little bit nervous or intimidated, or they just want to block and not get hit. And so that's all they're focusing on is the block, and then at some point they're going to lose it. If he's fighting back though, If he's punching back, I have to block, which means I can't strike while I'm blocking. So just the fact that he's fighting back reduces my chances of attacking him. So that's important, but also if you don't fight back, you're going to lose. We have to run away if you can run away, but if you can't run away, you have to fight back or you're going to lose. You can't just sit and block all the time. So when he punches, and I know I have to throw a punch, and then he blocks, and he knows he has to throw a strike, right? I know I have to throw a strike. I'm getting this habit of blocking and then striking. That's where that next level helps us to get to. Okay, so the third level, or not the final level, but the next level we're going to get to is just freestyle Kumite, except it's slow and controlled. So I'm never going to go in and try to get a strike like that. I'm never going to go full speed, and he's never going to go full speed. We both reduce our speed by what we think is the same amount, and we're both going the same speed. That way nobody has an advantage over the other. Got it? If you speed up, then you kind of degrade the practice. So we want to just, like we're doing Kumite, except it's slow and controlled. And don't speed up. If the other person speeds up and you don't, that's good. Because that means you're doing something the right way. If you speed up, slow down, right? But you want to be able to move from technique to technique. And this is the part where you clear your mind. You got me, and I thought about it. Because my mind is not clear. I'm talking to you guys right now, obviously. But if I were to be in Kumite, I would not want to think about that. I just want to relax, technique to technique. Relax, clear your mind. That's very important.